Welcome back, iRichers, where high-quality content meets high-quality people. Today we will be listing down the top 10 most expensive Rolex watches ever sold in the world. These dazzling watches are more than just price tags attached to this extravagant brand. Make sure you stay tuned for watch number 3, which was owned by one of the last emperors of the world. Number 10. Rolex Stelline 1953 pink gold stainless steel reference 6062, sold for a staggering $1.2 million. Launched in 1950, the Stelline, or Starlet in Italian, was the first automatic wristwatch with date and moon phases to be housed in a waterproof stainless steel case. That in itself is extremely exceptional and unique. Indeed, although not the most expensive, this Rolex is the rarest and most coveted version with 8 faceted stars in lieu of hour numerals. This particular timepiece, fashioned in the early 1950s, was not meant for public selling and was only auctioned twice in history. Before being sold in 2004, the original owner kept it untouched in a bank vault until his passing, keeping its prime condition intact. Number 9. Rolex reference 6263, the Oyster Albino Cosmograph Daytona Eric Clapton, sold for $1.4 million. As the name suggests, its first owner was none other than Eric Clapton, purchased in the late 1990s. World-renowned English musician, singer-songwriter, and arguably one of the most important and influential guitarists of all time, certainly deserves a Rolex all to himself. This Eric Clapton Rolex is one of only 4 known white dial cosmographs, where the subsidiary dials are blended in a silver finish on the dial plate. Because of its famous owner, limited production and prime condition, this 1971 timepiece was well sought after by collectors. Number 8. We have a two-way tie, the anti-magnetic stainless steel reference 4113 and Stelline pink gold reference 6062, both sold for a breathtaking $2 million each. An odd coincidence indeed. These Rolex twins were sold for the same price on the same day at the same auction, but their similarities stop there. First, the elusive anti-magnetic reference 4113. This rare 1942 stainless steel chronograph is one of only 12 manufactured, and interestingly enough, 3 of these have currently unknown whereabouts. A coveted watch only auctioned twice, the reference 4113 was never publicly sold, but given only as a prize to racing teams and drivers at Rolex-sponsored events. A timeless timepiece indeed. We could learn a few things from this untouched clock, showing only few signs of aging after nearly 7 decades. Tied for number 8, next we have the Stelline pink gold reference 6062, an extremely valuable piece. This Stelline family has always stolen the spotlight, bedazzling the collectors and scholars, including the CEO of Continental Airlines, who purchased it in 2009. This ultra-rare stainless steel pink gold reference 6062 is one of only 2 models ever to feature a full calendar paired with the indication of the phases of the moon, certainly a romantic treat. Number 7. Rolex GMT Master reference 1675, sold for an astonishing $2,018,000. Worn by Academy Award winner Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, this very important timepiece will carry a bit of Brando in it always, with the hand-carved M. Brando on the back. It might have been Brando's favourite, but director Francis Ford Coppola had other ideas, requesting its removal to not attract unwanted shimmering attention in the Filipino jungle. Defeated but still in love, Marlon Brando gave it to his daughter with a note reading, "This watch is like a tank. You can do anything you want to it and it will keep on going." But sorry Brando, Petra later on auctioned it for partial proceeds to the Brando Fisher Foundation. Number 6. Oyster Soto Cosmograph Daytona, reference 6263, sold for $2,052,353. If you thought watches only came in silver, then you definitely thought wrong. Famous for its distinct shade of chocolate brown and modern Arabic numerals, the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona Paul Newman is one of only 2 tropical Oyster Soto Rolexes that exist today. Translating to oyster underneath, it's no secret that the word oyster sits beneath Cosmograph at 12 o'clock. The very first Paul Newman style dial made for oyster case Daytonas. One-of-a-kind watch is surely a treasure. $2 million, we're getting up there. If you aren't looking up your next Rolex on eBay just yet, remember to stick around to find out the original owner of the 3rd most expensive Rolex ever to be sold. Number 5. The Neanderthal Daytona reference 6240, $3.13 million. First launched in 1965, the Neanderthal Daytona reference 6240 was the first Cosmograph wristwatch that was furnished with screw-down chronograph pushers to improve water resistance. The unique characteristic and sophisticated design of the Neanderthal is its omission of any Cosmographs and oyster label indicating that it belongs to the Daytona family. A clever play fashioned its name, the Neanderthal, a predecessor to Paul Newman, like a time machine dating back to the era of the Cosmograph Daytona Paul Newman design. Fashioned at a time when Rolex was experimenting with several design codes, this layout is truly unlike anything else they designed. Number 4. Oyster Cosmograph Paul Newman, or the Legend, sold for the enormous sum of $3.7 million. Few watches can elicit emotion and unadulterated joy like this model can. Once thought a mythical creature that even the most scholarly of collectors couldn't find, when it finally surfaced, it was sublime. The undying enthusiasm over the decades about the presence of yellow gold Paul Newman wristwatches with screw-down pushers, distinct from its pump pusher predecessor, was enough to keep the crowds waiting in line. Its best-kept secret, Rolex never provided any records of its actuality, and its beauty caught the world by surprise. Launched in 1969, during a period where Rolex was experimenting with different dial configurations, there's no arguing its most mesmerizing feature is their creamy lemon shade. The stepped dial shimmers almost divinely when catching the rays of the sun, enhancing its ethereal texture. One of the most complex, interesting and intriguing models to collect and research, the nuances of the Cosmograph Daytona render it a true find. It is not every day that a legend appears on the market, and there is no telling when another will ever surface again. Number 3. Bao Dai, reference 6062, $5 million. It was a cheery day in the spring of 1954 in Geneva when our mystery owner, the last emperor of Vietnam, took a stroll outside. On a break from deliberating with the Viet Minh, he paused for a bit of shopping and ended up in a Rolex store. His request was simple. He wanted the rarest and most precious Rolex ever to be made. Known for his appetite for finer things, the Rolex reference 6062 in yellow gold with a black dial and diamond indexes will forever be a timepiece associated with it taking his name, Bao Dai. With diamond indexes uniquely on the even hours, and the trademark Rolex crown reassigned to its perch beneath a diamond, the Bao Dai is truly one of a kind. Another exclusive characteristic of this exceptional creation is a full calendar complication featuring a move phase display. To this day, the watch is still in its prime and unrestored condition, making it feel like it was just yesterday in 1955, owned by the last emperor of Vietnam. Number 2. Unicorn Daytona reference 6265, sold for a jaw-dropping amount of $5.9 million. A one-off unique masterpiece, Rolex, who only uses stainless steel or yellow gold, made one exception to the rule. Appropriately dubbed Unicorn, this 18-carat white gold singular gem of a timepiece seemed to simply appear. Originally found at an auction with a leather strap, Goldberger fitted this watch with a luxuriously heavy bracelet to enhance its visual appeal. Still a magical mystery to us today, the Unicorn is the one and only manual winding white gold Rolex chronograph that exists. You made it! You're guaranteed, like this watch, to stand apart from the rest. Number 1. Paul Newman's Cosmograph Daytona, sold for no less than $17.8 million. You don't need to go to a store to spend lots of cash. This $17.8 million Rolex was purchased over the phone. This watch stands as the most iconic of all Daytona watches because it's the only exotic dialed Daytona that Mr. Newman owned, inspiring the nickname for the most prestigious versions of the Rolex Daytona line. Paul Newman, an infamous race car driver, actor and film director, received the Daytona, a watch designed to meet the needs of racing car drivers by measuring elapsed time and calculating average speed, as a gift from his wife Joanne Woodward. She had "Drive Carefully, Me" engraved on the back when Newman had just started his motorsport, making a watch whose memory will last for all time. As you can see, iRichers, Rolex is not just a name and a price. Eyeing a Rolex now? Let us know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe to get more high quality videos like this. And if you haven't already, smash the like button. It really helps the channel. Bye for now, until next time.